hormone is a problem, and then the three things you need to do to start shifting it now and start seeing the results that you want. So if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you're a woman that's maybe you're in your late 30s, maybe you're in your 40s, you could be in your 50s. Doesn't matter. It's still the same hormonal imbalance that's going on. So a lot of times women, let's say around mid 40s is a kind of classic standard age where we start to have some shifts in our body composition. We start to gain weight. And actually, when we look at the data, when we look at studies, women even start gaining weight, start gaining fat and losing muscle like mid 40s, even if they don't change anything, even if they're still working out the same and they're still, doing the same nutrition that they always have done. They're eating healthy. Maybe you're counting your macros. Can you relate, right? So, what's going on that's allowing you to gain that weight, especially in the abdomen, and what can we do to change it? That's what we're going to talk about. So, couple things that happen. So, one, I'm going to tell you the one hormonal shift that has to happen is with your insulin. So, when you think of hormones, you might not think of insulin. Like when people hear hormone, like, oh, that's my hormones. You might think of it's estrogen, it's progesterone, and those are related. But the root cause, the one that's behind the stubborn weight gain, especially in the abdomen, is insulin. Here's what's going on. So, mid 30s, even in our 30s, one hormonal shift that happens is our growth hormone starts to decrease. So, growth hormone is a hormone that's responsible to literally, as it sounds like, help us grow when we're younger. Like in our baby, like I've got small kids, right? They're growing literally right now. We turn around and their clothes don't fit, right? That growth hormone is what's going on. So in our 30s, actually, our growth hormone starts to decline. And of course, we're not getting taller, usually in our 30s. But what's happening is growth hormone does affect our muscle building. And so when we have less growth hormone, it's harder for us to build and maintain our muscle. So if you're seeing all the stuff on the internet about how you need to be eating a ton of protein and build, working out, building muscle, it's actually big. It's true because of that growth hormone shift where your growth hormone is decreasing, and it's going to be harder for you to build and maintain muscle. Well, what does that have to do with insulin? So when we have a lot of good muscle, it actually causes us to use our insulin works really good. And I should back up and say, well, what the heck is insulin, right? So if you're like, I've heard of insulin, but I don't really know, you might not even care about it, right? Unless like you're like, oh, I'm not diabetic. Like, why should I care about my insulin? Well, the example I always give is so when I drink juice. I have my body breaks down that juice into sugar. The sugar is in my bloodstream, and the sugar has to get into my cells for my body to use it as fuel. So insulin is the key that unlocks the door to the cell to allow that sugar to get into the cell to be used as energy. Is kind of high level, easy way to say it. Okay. So we've got to have insulin opening the door to the cell to allow that sugar to be used as energy. Well, what happens is our insulin can stop working as well. And like analogy I use is it's like you've got a key and it's trying to unlock the door and the key is getting stuck. That's kind of like what happens with insulin resistance. So there's some structural changes in the molecules, but essentially that insulin stops working as well. And what your body does is your body starts making more insulin. The problem with that is insulin is a fat storing hormone. So your body goes, oh, well, that insulin's not working as well. Let me give you more insulin. And what insulin can do is cause you to store fat. So having nice muscle, right, is going to help us to keep our insulin working well, which can keep us from gaining. Hi, ladies. So one, that hormonal shift of that growth hormone decreasing essentially affects our insulin levels. The other thing that can happen, especially if you're 40, in that 40 to 50s range, if you're in that perimenopausal stage, I'll talk about that on some other videos, but like, okay, hormones are changing. What can happen essentially during perimenopause, first thing that happens is progesterone decreases, and then estrogen will decrease later as we near menopause. why that's important is estrogen also helps us to build muscle. So when we start decreasing that estrogen, it's harder to build and maintain muscle. So this might be why, like I've heard from a lot of women in their early 50s, even somebody on my team who's like in her 40s. She's like, I'm doing all the things, literally like eating so, so on point at the gym, working with my trainer, lifting weights, and nothing's changing. And I literally talked to a woman who told me that scenario yesterday, and that can be hormonal because of that decline in estrogen. When your estrogen levels are low, it's harder for you to build and maintain muscle because estrogen has what's called an anabolic effect, which causes us to build and maintain muscle. So with that, we lose that muscle, we become more insulin resistant, right? So our insulin doesn't work as well. So again, our body makes more insulin, which causes us to store fat. So the one hormonal shift you've got to make in order to unlock that fat loss in your 40s is to improve your insulin. We've got to really get your insulin working well, optimize your insulin levels, bring those insulin levels down so that you can lose that belly fat. Because when we do have insulin resistance, we have that abdominal weight gain. And especially sometimes you can have that visceral fat weight gain, which is like the fat that's like not necessarily like the stuff on the outside that you can grab. It's like the internal in your abdomen fat that is very dangerous too, because we know we have an increased risk of heart disease with increased visceral fat. So, so again, insulin is really the culprit here that we've got to work on. If you're noticing that, you're in that 40-year-old age range and you're really seeing that belly fat change, your body composition change, insulin is going to be that hormonal shift that we've got to make in order for you to lose that body fat. So 3 ways that we help our clients do that is, one, obviously we've got to look at nutrition. But this can be nuanced because I've had women come to me, they're like, well, I eat keto, right? So shouldn't my insulin be fine? Like, that's the whole point of keto, is you really drop your blood, your insulin levels, and you help stabilize your blood sugar by eating really low carb. Well, what we've seen in the women that we work with, we have a program called Fuel, which is an 8-week metabolic reset program, where we use continuous glucose monitoring. We use a sensor in order to see what your blood sugar is doing in real time. And that gives us an idea of what your insulin is doing as well. And what I've seen is that sometimes women are literally, when we started this program, I was kind of expecting to see, in these women that were like struggling, I was kind of expecting to see high blood sugar at times. And sometimes we do. We're like, whoa, your protein oats that we thought were good really spiked your blood sugar. I had another woman, salmon, sweet potato, and salad spiked her blood sugar, right? But what we actually saw was that there was actually a lot of lows in our ladies too. And something you've got to know is, okay, if you're doing something like keto, you're fasting, sometimes these things are kind of extreme. You're actually they're stressing your body. It's triggering cortisol, which is increasing your blood sugar and insulin. So really, I'd love to say it doesn't require more effort. It doesn't require pushing harder. It requires precision. It requires looking to see what would be going on in your what's going on specifically with your blood sugar and your insulin, and then tailoring what you need to do based on your body. Okay. So 1 is nutrition. 2, I talked a lot about, okay, we're losing muscle. So 2 is building muscle. So that's another thing we do within Fuel with Precision, is we are guiding women through not just like, hey, you needed to get in the gym and build muscle. There's actually science behind what number of reps should you be doing? Should you like, if you're like me, I'm an 80s baby, right? I remember like, okay, women want to be toned. We need to do 12 to 15 reps. And like, we're really looking to tone, right? That actually doesn't help us build muscle. We've got to change up our rep schemes, and we've got to change even the movements we're doing sometimes. So we're really maximizing that muscle build to help blood sugar and insulin and lose that belly fat. Okay. So we talked about building muscle, we talked about our nutrition, and then we next steps after that can be dialing in some really precise things around the timing of our meals, right? Around our sleep, around our stress. We talked about cortisol, how that can actually trigger your blood sugar and your insulin and make things worse. But the key with all of that is that we're monitoring, right? We're looking at, okay, what is your blood sugar doing specifically with a continuous glucose monitor? So in Precision Total Health, we use our Precision Total Health method in anything we do with our clients is test, target, transform. First, we're testing, we're using some kind of way to measure what's going on inside somebody's body rather than giving generic one-off advice. We're going, okay, what's inside your body? Okay, let's tailor what we're doing based on what's going on inside your body and then go from there. So then the next step, we test, then we target. So now we've found what's going on, we're going to target with maybe it's specific nutrition, maybe it's supplements, things like that to help guide exactly what's going on in your body. And then the third step is transforming, right? It's okay, once we're able to target that, now how do we keep that momentum going? How do you live your life in a way that's going to help maintain those results long term so that you can keep that belly fat off, right? What we're talking about today. But that three step method we use in any of the ways that we work with our clients of test, target, and then transform, because we don't want to be wasting your time, especially if you're a high performing woman. You don't want to waste time, right? You might have been already trying to DIY and you're like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that, and I'm not seeing the results. I've had so many women come to me and just say, just tell me exactly what I need to do for my body, right? Let's not waste time on generic advice. Let's see what's going on with you specifically. So, if you are like a lot of the women that we work with, you're a high achiever, high performer woman, maybe you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're looking to lose belly fat, I'd love for you to comment fuel below this video. And I will send you the details to our upcoming round of Fuel with Precision, which is our 8-week metabolic reset program where we help you to really stabilize blood sugar and insulin, rebuilding your energy, setting the stage for hormone balance, and really optimal health overall. When we are metabolically healthy, meaning when our blood sugar and our insulin is well regulated, it can help us prevent cancer, prevent diabetes, heart disease, improve our immune system function. So yes, we're talking about belly fat today, but it does so much more for our body. So again, comment fuel below if you'd like more information on our 8-week metabolic reset program, and I will see you in the next video. You have to give me a second.